So, you've been playing Resident Evil 4 VR for the Oculus Quest 2.
That's right. Any sort of regular listener will know that was the reason that myself and probably everyone who bought an Oculus Quest 2 bought an Oculus Quest 2 was because Resident Evil 4 was announced for it.
Well, not necessarily. I saw a thing with, what's the Facebook guy? Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
And he's in a meeting with it. It's like a virtual meeting.
Oh right, yeah, is this the meta thing?
Aye, the meta thing.
I haven't watched it yet, but the internet is talking about how cringe it is.
It's ridiculous.
I'll get caught up at some point. We'll not digress too much, but my understanding is it's like trying to basically integrate VR and augmented reality into every facet of your life using Facebook.
Well, the thing I seen, it was just like having a meeting, a business meeting with avatars.
Yeah. But then it was like some people were real in the room, some were kind of holograms, and some were avatars, and it was all weird.
Not the one I seen. They were both avatars. Zuckerberg was moving his hands when he was talking, but he wasn't holding the controllers.
Oh, because you don't need controllers anymore.
And then the other woman, she had the controllers and she was moving her hands. But it looked like the sort of thing that definitely won't catch on.
No,
they were trying to say it's so much better than Zoom calls. That was their whole selling point. But I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it's.
And Zoom calls are horrific, so.
Yeah, no one enjoys Zoom calls.
Being worse than that.
Yeah.
It's good effort.
To market your kind of new platform around the notion of Zoom calls, but arguably worse, is I think that's a surefire. I mean, maybe people will listen back on this years from now and laugh at our naivety as they're plugged into this dystopian matrix.
In some aspect you're right, because stuff will head that way, but the implementation of this at the moment was lackluster, to say the least.
I think they have to make the real world a lot shittier a place to be in before folk are going to want to spend time in that.
They're working on it, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
back
that's quite
to
a good segue, I think, into actually Resident Evil.
Well, I think to everyone else, Resident Evil 4, like you say, was the killer app for Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah, it was the kind of killer app that I think, not just obviously, the Quest 2 because it's an exclusive, but I think like VR in general, like people were instantly interested in the prospect of playing what is arguably one of the greatest games of all time in VR. I think a lot of people lost interest when they found out it was exclusive on the Quest 2. People who'd bought like Oculus Rifts and stuff like for the PC VR experience are...
So you can't play it on that?
You can't play it on anything apart from the Quest 2. Or you can't play it on the Quest 1.
So even though they're Oculus?
Yeah. You can't play it on other Oculus products.
You can't play it on the more expensive Oculus?
Well, the one that's...
Quest. Oculus Rift.
Yeah, you can't play it on the Rift, and you can't play it on the previous generation Quest. And it's unclear if it's going to be available on any other Oculus device. They're pushing this as the reason basically to buy a Quest 2, and it certainly worked on me because, well, it's the reason why I bought one. So I guess the question is it worth it?
Well, before that, let's talk about your history with Resident Evil 4, because you're quite well versed.
Oh, so I got Resident Evil 4 the day it came out on the GameCube. It had been obviously, like, as a GameCube owner, that was the killer app that everyone was waiting on, because at the time it was meant to be an exclusive and
only on GameCube.
Only on GameCube. So yeah, I fucking remember it so well, like it, and at the time. It felt like this was such an important milestone, not just in the Resident Evil series, but in gaming in general. It felt important. So, yeah.
Which ended up being highly influential for Gears of War and all that type of over-the-shoulder type.
Yeah, it's kind of
nonsense.
Redefined sort of what was expected from third-person sort of action, combat kind of games. as well as being like just absolutely fucking insane in terms of like, do you know what I mean, pacing and stuff. It's just one of the best games ever made.
So you were originally playing that with the GameCube controller?
Aye. I've played it, obviously played it on the GameCube first, and then the Wii version wasn't that far behind it, I suppose, and I think that was the next thing I remember playing it on.
Well, other than in between it was released on
PS2. I never made it to Xbox. It was just the PS2, as far as I remember.
And the PS2 version was pretty similar to the GameCube one.
It did look a bit shittier, but it did have extra stuff on it.
Then when it came to Wii, it was pretty different because it had the motion controls.
Yeah, and many people, myself included, would say that was the best version of the game. It does, like, folks say that it breaks the game, and I totally get that because, yeah, it's too easy to get those headshots and stuff, but it's also the most fun version of the game that you can get, and it was a total missed opportunity that when they ported it to the Switch, they didn't implement some form of gyro control. It's sorely missed.
Yeah, so after that it came out on PS4, PS5, Xbox,
pretty much everything. Yeah,
a HD version.
It's been ported to the iPhone, but you can't get that version anymore. It's been ported to Nokia's.
And all those
one of the most ported games of all time.
Versions are based on the same game, the same engine, except maybe the iPhone ones.
Yeah.
But they're fundamentally the same game.
Yeah.
Whereas this new VR version has been rebuilt, has it?
Well, seemingly it's been rebuilt in Unreal Engine 4, I think, and that would make sense because, you know, I don't think the original engine would have translated. Like, it's not obviously not built for what they're doing, so they would need a new engine to do it. But it is, with that being the case, it is amazing. It's exactly the same. I mean, like it's exactly as you remember it. They've not embellished or. Do you know what I mean? I guess that there might have been a temptation to update the aesthetic in some way. They haven't done that.
It looks exactly the same.
It looks exactly. I mean, it is the same game, but obviously your perspective of it and the way you interact with it is.
But I mean, the GTA trilogy that's coming out, it is exactly the same, but it does look different. You know what I mean? It looks more cartoony.
Yeah.
But with this, you'd say it looks exactly the same.
I mean,
have you seen it side by side, or is this just from memory?
I'm guessing it's just from memory, but like, obviously, like all the textures and stuff have been updated. It doesn't look like. I think the PC ports of Resident Evil 4 got criticised because they never updated the textures and stuff, and I think that like fans have done a lot of work in making a sort of ultimate version of Resident Evil 4, you know, with fan-made texture pack mods and stuff that actually update it, because Capcom have been quite lazy. I mean, that might have changed, but certainly I remember like there was a lot of criticism of previous releases of Resident Evil 4 on PC. So in VR, obviously you can look really close at stuff. Well, exactly.
And does it hold up?
It does. I mean, like
textures are quite.
It doesn't look like jaw-dropping, but I mean it looks.
I always find in VR that texture, like the indents and like a bit of wood or tables and things like that, just seem to stand out more. You know what I mean? Like little grooves in the table and stuff like that.
It was like paintings and stuff. Like they did actually feel like a lot more tangible, and like that looks like a real thing in the space. Like obviously, like the game world's a lot sparser than maybe something that one you would expect from a modern game where there's a lot of finer detail and stuff. You know, like Resident Evil 4 has a very like carefully crafted aesthetic and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like it really does change your entire sort of perspective of the like a world that you're or an environment you're so familiar with when you're in it like
Yeah,
that.
because you played it through how many times? Twice? Three times?
I've definitely played it through more than once on each console that I've owned it on.
And now you're actually there.
Mm.
So it does. You really get that.
That sense of presence, you know, that.
Yeah, you feel like you're actually there.
Yeah, and like, so like just sort of like getting into how it works. I mean, obviously it's first person, but yeah, there's bits where it just sort of jarringly jumps to like a black space with a flat screen where you watch cinematics happen, and that can be quite.
That's kind of the lowest ebb.
That is
from what I've seen from the gameplay that I've watched.
yeah.
That looks like the weakest part of it.
So let's get that over with just now, because I kind of want to be really positive about it. Like, so that the negatives of it that's definitely a negative. I think they could have integrated some of this stuff much better, like ladders, for example. Like it cuts to a black screen when you go up a ladder. It could have been so easy to, like, there's been dozens of VR games that you climb the ladder manually. I don't know why it doesn't let you do that.
They seem to have really erred on the side of the comfort settings.
Yeah,
But can you turn a lot of that stuff off?
no, like, so that is regardless of comfort settings. I mean, comfort settings like mainly sort of affect like the way that you navigate the world and stuff like that. So it's like I've got it to teleport because I've not got particularly strong.
And is it like click turning?
Yeah. So like yeah.
So you move a certain amount.
X amount of degrees. I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like incremental turning and stuff. But I've found like, whereas initially I was fairly rooted to the spot, like sort of trying to just take out what was around me. The longer I've been playing it, I've definitely been getting used to teleporting about quite quickly, and like it definitely makes the combat a lot snappier.
But are you not like diving around the room like cartwheels?
No, so like that's the strange thing. With Super Hot, I was doing that so much more. You know, like ducking and like. Super Hot, there's nothing in that takes you out of the world at any point. So I don't know, I wonder, because of kind of like sort of immersion breaking things, I don't quite feel like I'm in the world in the same way. Like,
I mean, if you're a purist, I suppose you would make yourself stand still as soon as you got your gun out.
yeah, well exactly.
You're not allowed to move.
Yeah, but
Is that how you've been playing it?
what do you mean? Sorry, like
Just because your feet are stood in the same place?
mainly rooted to the
So,
spot, obviously.
like in the old Resident Evil, you couldn't move when you got your gun out.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
Pretty
move.
much what you've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'd watched a review. I can't remember who it was by, but he was calling it a fun novelty. Oh God, I wish I could remember. He said it's good, but it's essentially a fun novelty, and he was saying it's just too easy. Like it breaks the game just being able to move about so freely and shoot freely and stuff. Like playing it as essentially a first-person shooter in VR.
And you're talking about using the not teleporting
No, he wasn't teleporting.
he's
He was
whipping around.
Yeah, he's just moving freely
with the analog.
with the analog sticks. Whereas I was like, well, you're playing Resident Evil 4 wrong then. Like, I mean, you are breaking the game, I suppose, by being so good at VR. Like, if you were shit at it like me, you'd be having a lot more fun and it'd be a lot more scary and you'd die a lot more, because I've died fucking loads and I've shat myself so much. But it does a good job of not like it fades to black when you're under any sort of immediate threat. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't see the impact of anything hitting you. So
Your head coming off,
yeah,
and then rolling about the ground.
yeah, you're not going to see a thing entering.
I remember there was an early VR demo where it was like a guillotine, and that's what would happen. Like it would simulate getting your head cut off and then your head like rolling
Oh
around.
fuck that! No way! I feel sick just thinking about that. But yeah, like so comfort wise, I mean, like I have found it very comfortable to play.
So there's the bit in the boat where you get attacked by the big monster.
Yeah, and there's very specific comfort options for that section of the game. And and for good reason. It's like, because you can kind of control the boat while it's being dragged about by the monster in the lake. I mean, I chose, I think, the middle option of the two, which was kind of like a sort of middle ground between, essentially. I mean, I don't know, because I never picked the other two options. I don't have a frame of reference other than the way that I played it.
But you picked the middle one.
The middle one, and initially I did find it quite, not nauseating, but just like, like the movement obviously didn't line up with what I was feeling in the real world.
You, for that version, it's like you're in the boat and you're moving along in the boat.
Yeah, and so I think with that version I had to manually pick up the spears and load the gun and then shoot the monster every time while steering the boat with the analog stick to some extent to dodge obstacles. That was my experience of it, and actually...
And did that make you feel sick?
It didn't make me feel sick, it made me feel a little bit odd to start with, but then I kind of got over it quite quickly, and then
How
the fight
long
was
does
actually...
that bit last for?
Well, that's what I was going to say, you know, like, I kind of rattled through it quite quickly. I didn't die or anything, so... and when you fall into the water, again, it goes to like a cutscene, and you're just like, do you know what I mean? Like a quick time event, you're just shaking the controllers to get back to the boat. They could have done something a bit more creative with that, I think, but anyway.
I mean, I guess because it's an old game and they're having to adapt it, then
Yeah.
you got to expect some
but
compromises like that.
They also rebuilt it from scratch.
Aye, it just does seem strange, but when we talked about it before, we were wondering what they were going to do about those quick time bits.
Yeah, and we should also talk about what they've done with, like, so they've controversially, there's been certain lines that have been censored, like lines of dialogue in that. But also what's interesting is you can't put your hands anywhere near Ashley in the game at all. Your hands disappear if you try and like put them anywhere near her. But you can molest the merchant as much as you want. You can touch his face.
Right.
So yeah.
So you touched the merchant's face.
I've touched the merchant's face.
And does he react?
He doesn't. He doesn't seem to care.
So you touch the merchant's face. I take it your hand just clips right through it.
Yeah, but you can still see. It's not like your hands disappear or anything. But
you try to touch Ashley's face.
You try and put your hand anywhere near Ashley, and
what happens?
it disappears.
She disappears.
No, your hands disappear.
Oh, your hand disappears. Right.
Yeah. And like obviously they've edited lots of lines of dialogue. Basically anything that sexualizes Ashley in any way. So I'm assuming it's because loads of folk would be trying to look up her skirt and stuff like that. So maybe that's why they've done the ladders thing the way that they have, so you can't like perv on her or something. But it's just kind of like, really.
Do you think it's political correctness gone mad?
I don't think it's political correctness gone mad. I just think it was a needless edit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess there was part of the charm of it was like some of the clunky, stupid dialogue. Do you know what I mean? And I get why they've done it, but I just think that the reasons for it are kind of insincere. Like, it raises questions about who allowed it. Was it Capcom, or was it like? Did Facebook have some kind of...
So it's developed by Armature.
Armature.
So presumably Capcom just okayed it.
Yeah. I suppose they didn't add anything, they just kind of chopped a couple of bits out.
But I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, he's bankrolling it.
Yeah.
And he's maybe thinking, I've had enough trouble in the last couple of years. I'm not needing anything anymore.
Yeah.
So let's just err on the side of caution.
I don't want this to be a platform for perversion. But yeah.
Like Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Meta.
As it's soon to be known.
As I like to call it.
Yeah, that kind of... Yeah, I do wonder if this is the last... No, actually, I was going to say, is this the last sort of big heavy hitter for the Quest, and have we got it already? But without digressing too much, GTA San Andreas has been announced for Quest 2 as well, in the same kind of vein as Resident Evil. I think it's an exclusive version.
It's definitely a cool trend.
I don't think it's going to be possible to comfortably play San Andreas in VR. Like,
Yeah, maybe not, but I mean, just in general, bringing these big, older games, if they could do it as successfully as they've done with Resident Evil 4, then
yeah,
keep them coming.
yeah. But look, I mean, it really is a fucking cracking version of the game. Like,
So, where would it rate? I mean, previously was your favourite version the Wii?
I mean, yeah, but to be fair, it's not like I've really played any of the HD versions. I think going back to playing it with dual analog sticks is a regression, and I don't.
Did you get it on the Switch?
No, I never did, because they were charging too much for it. There's no gyro controls. If there was gyro, I would have got it.
Like £30.
Yeah, yeah, and folk have been moaning about the price of the Quest version being 30 quid.
The Quest is 30 quid.
Quest version's 30 quid, and folk have been moaning about that. The same guy who said it was a fun novelty but not really worth them. Like, he basically said that 30 quid was a rip-off for it, and it's like, mate, it was 30 quid on the Switch with no fucking gyro. But he never seemed to mention that, and he's like, they've actually rebuilt the game for the Quest. Like, I'd say that actually is worth 30 quid. Now, his argument was based on the fact that it's missing a lot of the extra I mean, all the extra content, like Mercenaries mode, the assignment Ada, you know, like the extra missions and stuff.
So is that stuff that you would ever play?
I mean, not really, no.
Me either.
No. But I mean, like,
if you're like a super fan, then that's sort of stuff you'd care about. You want to play as a bit of tofu or whatever it was.
No, I mean, like, I remember playing the assignment Ada thing on the Wii, and it was all right, but it's not like it feels like I'm getting an incomplete experience because it's not there. Yeah, as I recall, it looked worse. I don't know what, like, so when they ported it to the Wii, for some reason, the Ada missions looked graphically worse than the main missions.
Right.
I don't know why. It was like they ported that version from the PS2 back to the Wii. Like it was like running on a different version of the engine or something. It looked weird. That's all I really remember about it. Anyway, yeah, I don't feel like I'm missing out on that not being in it. Mercenaries mode, I kind of get why. Maybe it's just a bit too frantic for. I don't know. I do get why people maybe think that, you know, because like Mercenaries is one of the people's favourite modes from Resident Evil 4. Folk fucking loved that.
I hear that, but personally, it doesn't bother me. £30 for a VR version of just the main game.
Yeah,
seems like good value to me.
I mean,
it'll be on sale soon enough.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I doubt it'll actually go on sale for a while. I think it'll be, you know what I mean? Like, I think Facebook will milk that one for as long as they can at full price before they think about putting it on sale. Quest sales don't seem to be as much of a thing. Like, you know how on other like on the Switch, for example, like we see massive sales all the time and stuff, like 80% off sometimes and that. Like I've not really noticed stuff like that. It's maybe been about 20% off at best, but yeah, can't see it dropping price anytime soon.
But worth it.
Aye, absolutely. I mean, like, it really depends. Like, again, I can only talk from the way that I've been playing it, but I've been playing it in immersive mode, so that's where you kind of have to physically do all the pulling the guns from your holster, or like your shotgun from your back or whatever, doing all the physical motions for reloading and stuff. And I haven't played it the other way, where it's just like I'll quick select wheel for a weapon. To me, that just feels like you're not really getting the full experience. Like, I think you proper have to go as immersive as you can.
I mean, if the immersive mode works reliably enough.
Yeah, Yeah, no. So it does. However, there's a caveat. I found that the sniper rifle just feels off sometimes, especially when it's zoomed in. It just feels like, I don't know, there's no benefit to this over just using the joystick. Do you know what I mean? This feels uncomfortable. Like, it's not accurate. It's like fucking. It feels like it's all over the place. The motion of pulling the gun to your face using the controller and having it zoom in is inconsistent. I've found that the way to make it work reliably is to literally put the controller on my fucking face like this, and then it might stay zoomed in. But I don't know why, what the dead zone is on that. But it's like, it's weird. It doesn't, like, it's like fucking stay zoomed in.
Something they might be able to patch, I guess.
I don't know if that's just me, if that's my experience, but that's been because. Like, the sniper rifle in vanilla Resident Evil 4 is one of the best weapons, you know. Whereas with this one, it's like I'm kind of it's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to use the sniper rifle.
So it's all or nothing whether you're doing the full immersive motion stuff for the weapons or using just the sticks.
Yeah, you can't sort of
choose one or the other.
Yeah, you can't choose one or the other. Well, you can change, like, it's just a menu select away. I mean, it's not like you're committed to it. But yeah, it would have been like, and I thought it would be nice as well if there would be a way to kind of just quickly toggle on the ability to, instead of teleporting, being able to free roam. Like, there's other VR games where you can essentially do both, like, without having to change settings. You know what I mean? There'd be sometimes, I mean, I guess I can physically move around the room, but like, I don't know why, for some reason I'm less inclined to do so, and I think it's because it's Resident Evil 4 and I'm like you say, you're used to being rooted to the spot in that game. To move around while shooting feels like cheating. But you've not had a shot yet, have you?
Not yet. No. I'll be interested to compare it to Resident Evil 7 VR.
Yeah, I mean, my brief experience with Resident Evil 7 VR, I mean, it's a very different experience. Like, yeah, I'd say RE4's more fun and camp. Oh, it's fucking fantastic.
RE7, the first third is quite grounded, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this.
Oh no, I mean, it is the system seller that I hoped it would be. Like, I was very worried to start with. Like, is it going to be as good as it needs to be to have justified the purchase, you know? And yeah, I've not been disappointed. If you've got a Quest 2, I mean, there's no doubt that you've probably already got it.